All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Bad MMA Math Fight Breakdown. Now, we started off the year on absolute fire with an 11-2 record, but being quite honest, this card coming up now is dodgy as hell, and I expect the record to take a little bit of a minor thumping here. If we can come out of a positive record, I'm going to see that as a win-win-win. But I'm going to do my best to give you picks that I think are going to be the most likely to make it through. It's not the strongest card in the world, especially for a pay-per-view, but there are 3 or 4 fights that should be absolutely class. So let's get into the first pay-per-view of the year and see what value can be found. Like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. Turn on the notification bell as well. I do a video on here every 2 days that cover predictions, reactions. We do podcasts on here. I've got video essays at least once a week. So you've got a whole range of MMA related topics to keep you entertained. All right, let's get into this. All right, so we got a pair of flyweights kicking off the card for the second week in a row, which might actually be an indication of where the UFC is going this year. And personally, I'm all for it. Definitely the definition of bottom feeders in this one, though. Does have the potential to be a fun one, though, because even when you get kind of 2 lower level fighters squaring up, it can sometimes make for some very entertaining outcomes. Now, P-Head Gordon is a BJJ practitioner that can crack a little bit, and he's going up against Jimmy Flick, who retired and then came back and is the far better offensive grappler. They both have horrible takedown defenses. The last time I checked, Flick was at 0%, and I think Gordon was at about 11% of a takedown defense. So both these men could find it quite easy to get each other to the ground. Now, I would argue that Gordon has the striking advantage and that Flick is actually the better grappler. Personally, I would say that they both suck, so I wouldn't bet on it. But I'm actually going to take Gordon as he has the home advantage, and Flick has been sparked out in his last few bouts. I also don't really like when people retire and then come back. It's not really a good look. I'm going to take Gordon straight up on the money line, but do yourself a solid and don't bet on this, because I certainly am not going to be. All right, fight number 2. I've made a promise this year to be kinder when breaking down women's MMA. And yeah, let's just see how it goes. This one's actually not that bad. I'm going to take Jasmine Jasudavicius. Priscilla does have decent power, but Jasmine is a dog and will be far superior in her ability to take the fight to the mat, where I expect her to dominate large periods of the contest. She does have a few losses recently, just as she was gaining a little bit of momentum. But to be fair to her, they were both pretty close fights and against very good competition. Jasmine is the sizable favorite. And I'm not going to be betting on her at minus 400. I don't bet on that on any woman, unless they're wearing a cup, if you know what I'm saying. She's also had something like 5 straight decisions. So I'm going to go for a double in this one and say that Jasmine wins at least 2 rounds and that it goes over 2.5. All right, fight number 3. Neither of these dudes are UFC level, and I don't know why they are still here, but whatever, man. I'm going to go with the local guy, though. All right, that's why he's on the card. He's Canadian. I forgot about that. I mistakenly thought that Sam Patterson was quite good back in the day, and that he was going to do quite well in the UFC. But then he goes in there and gets absolutely murdered by the Red Fox Ashmos, and that was at lightweight in his UFC debut. But what makes this one a little bit of a tricky pick is that Patterson is actually fighting up a weight class at welterweight this time, which I actually think is a good move for him at this point. He looked way too drained and skinny at lightweight with a 6'2" frame. You know, he's not like Jalen Turner, who makes that weight and is quite broad-shouldered and filled out. So we have some unknowns to deal with here. He could go up there and do what Chase Hooper did when he went up to lightweight and look absolutely incredible because he is a decent striker. He will have the reach advantage in this one, but that didn't help him against Ashmos, who literally has fucking T-Rex arms. Lainesse, on the other hand, is the better grappler and is much longer than the fighters Patterson usually fights. And I think he might struggle with that. I'm going to take Lainesse being way too well-rounded for this guy. And the odds make a straight-up money line play pretty appealing here. He's only a slight favorite. So I'm going to go with the Canadian. He's way more well-rounded. Oh boy, cake! I wish Polyana was actually a better fighter, and she's shown some glimpses in her career where she does look good. But then when I was really siphoning through her records, I was like, who the fuck has she actually beaten? I mean, she's got Jinyu Frey, who hasn't beaten her. She's got Mallory Martin. All right. Emily Whitmore, she's shit. Jillian Robertson beat Agapova, who, while a little bit autistic, she also beat Rodriguez, who's 9-1, and Agapova can actually strike a little bit and is dangerous. She's basically only a BJJ practitioner out. And I was going to be tempted to take the over on this fight because I think they're both pretty decent. But Jillian has shown that she can grab a limb and do damage when the fight makes it to the ground. And Canadians seem to have this weird, inexplicable thing of leveling up when they're on home soil. Viana was also subbed in her last one against Lucindo, who, to be fair, is actually looking pretty good. She's quite a hungry young fighter. I think Viana will be the better striker, but I just don't trust her defense if the fight does get to the ground. I don't think Jillian has all that good of a takedown game, to be honest. But if they're scrambling around a bit and they end up down there, there's every chance that she could snatch a limb. I don't like this at all, and again, I'm not going to be betting on it. But I'm going to have to go with Robertson. She's at home. It is a little bit of a coin toss. Both women have massive holes in their game. But I'm going to take Robertson. Again, she's got the home advantage. She's got a better finishing potential, I think. I don't like this, though. That to me is the only pick that I can feasibly go with here. I don't like the over. I don't like the under. And yeah, they're both kind of capable of winning. All right, so we've got another rematch at bantamweight. These guys actually met on the Contender Series where there was a little bit of a questionable stoppage. Now, it was a little early, and Taveras was then gifted off the back of that another chance to get a contract, which he duly did with an incredible knockout in week 10 of the Contender Series during last year's season. Taveras is far more active in the striking, and is someone who does headhunt a little bit, which I'm not really very much in love with. It becomes a little bit too predictable. He's not the most difficult to take down, but never really settles on bottom, and I do kind of like that about him. I'm going to take Serhi, though, in this one, just because he's shown he can hurt Taveras in the past. It was an early stoppage, maybe, but he did drop him, and that might give him the psychological advantage in this one. He's also on home soil. Taveras' best avenue for me to success is to target Serhi's legs, as Serhi does have a really bad habit of kind of planting his feet a lot, but I don't think he has the intelligence to do that. I think this will go longer this time, and I do like the plus 1.5 as well, and Serhi to edge it out on the judges' scorecards, possibly 2 rounds to 1. I'm not going to be betting on this either, but doubling up here. Serhi to get the win and for it to go over 1.5. All right, this one is a great fight at featherweight. We have Jourdain, who is coming off 2 nice wins with submissions. and as quite an exciting style to watch. He's shown that he can level up a little bit now that he's added a bit of a ground game. Now he's fighting against Woodson, who has the weirdest body shape I've ever seen in the UFC. Just has these really long arms. He's got kind of a weird shaped torso. He just looks like a little bit of an alien in there. He's got really good takedown defense. I think it's at about 85% and is really rangy for this division. I think this fight should be closer to a pick'em, and the fact that it isn't is why I can't really endorse one man or the other. I think that Jourdain is more well-rounded, but at minus 200, yeah, I can't lay that against someone. I can't lay that against someone who's fighting against Woodson, who has a really good reach advantage and a decent chin as well. I think Jourdain will use a lot of leg kicks, and Woodson, with his boxing pedigree, will apply that long jab a lot. Both men have dog-level chins, so I'm going to avoid picking an outright winner here and say that this goes back and forth to climb over 2.5. I like both guys. I just think the matchup is a little bit tricky to predict, and I see them both having moments and clinches wearing the clock down. If you need to pick a fighter, it might actually be worth picking Woodson. You know, I think you can get him at about plus 250, which, considering his record and the strengths that he brings into this one, that might not be a bad underdog to go with. Fight 7. To be honest, yeah, this one should be opening up the cards. I'm going to take Katona for a number of reasons. He's got a few notable wins in his career, including subbing Bryce Mitchell, who I know just got laid out, but to get that guy on the ground and sub him is a very impressive thing to do. Katona's a very solid striker, which is his bread and butter. He's got incredible cardio, and he has the wherewithal to apply takedowns at the right times, and tends to adjust himself to the flow of a fight, depending on how it's playing out. So for me, in terms of fight IQ, I kind of favor him in that one. He's very good at gauging what's going on and then to adjust his game plan. Now, for me, Armfield has one avenue to win in this fight, and that would be catching Katona with something flush. And the guy has a pretty decent chin. I think Katona is a ratty, annoying little shitbag, and that's why I think he's probably going to keep winning. I can see Armfield maybe starting out very well, getting the best of the first round by outstriking Katona with more volume, and then gassing horribly with Katona taking over in the last 2 rounds. I'm actually tempted to double up here and go for an over 2.5, as they are both massive dogs. But with Armfield likely to gas, he might get volume battered as Katona keeps pace into the 3rd round. I'm going to take Katona to win by a close decision, 29-28, and I'm not going to double up on this one. I just think Katona's going to get the win. All right, fight number 8. This is a really critical fight at featherweight. We've got Arnold Allen, who is the fucking underdog, against Movsar Evloev. That is bananas to me. I have personally, now I'm not going to advise you to do this, but I have to take that line. I'm going to be betting on Arnold Allen. Now, firstly, I don't really think Evloev is all that good. His striking is fairly mid, and he relies on getting takedowns and dominating on top to win fights. He's had something like 5 decisions in a row or something. Now, Arnold Allen has not been taken down since 2018. That's 5 years, and I think about 15 or 16 attempted takedowns. So I want you to really digest that. He's also the much more explosive striker, especially more explosive than Evloev, and I would not be surprised if he absolutely chins his ass. Honestly though, I do think that Evloev goes for takedowns and might land 1 or 2, but the question is, can he keep a powerful little guy like Allen down there? I don't think he's going to be able to. I think the fight's going to keep getting reset, and in a 3-rounder, Allen's going to be able to unload striking more freely, and I think he's going to find moments where he hurts him, or at least makes him reluctant to come in and shoot. My official pick is actually for this to go over 2.5, as they are both dog tough, and I think the clock is going to be burned exponentially with grappling, and they both have chins. So I'm just wishing and hoping that Alan edges it by getting up and hurting Movzar when it is standing. I don't like Movzar's style. He's a bit of a lay and prayer, but I can see avenues for both of this winning this. So I'm going to play it safe, as I always do with your money. And I'm going to say that this one goes over 2.5. All right, great fight. And sorry to be a little bit of a bore here, but again, this one has over 2.5 written all over it. I like both fighters. Chris Curtis has really good boxing and is defensively very responsible, which I like for him in this one. He also has incredibly underrated takedown defense, which I assume is like a byproduct of working in the same gym as Sean Strickland. Those guys are kind of notorious for being really good with kind of defensive wrestling. So it shows with Chris Curtis. He's got something like an 85% takedown defense. My issue with him sometimes is that he sometimes is quite slow to put a pace on, and that often lets him down. And against a gritty, tough son of a bitch like Barriault, who is going to apply a lot of pressure, he is known as Power Bar for his incredible cardio. And this might be another one for him where he gets outbeaten on volume. I think this is going to be a good technical battle that remains standing and that they both have decent moments at different parts of the round. But with Barriault being home and having everything he does hyped to hell by the crowd, he's more likely to edge a decision that's going to be close. I just have to take the over. They both have chins, and I like this to pop over the 2.5 because there's going to be a lot of times when they're sort of staring each other down and trying to find good positions, and there might be a little bit of like clinch game attempts and stuff like that. So I'm pretty comfortable with this going over 2.5. Very nice matchup. As I said, it should be a fun one to warm us up for the remaining 3 fights on the card. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this again. I think Magny is a very hard guy to beat, and I think this is going to be a very tough challenge for Mike Mallot. Now, if we take the odds out of this, I would pretty much take Mallot straight up. He's coming in with a lot of heat, but at minus 250, which is the best I could find him at, and considering his toughest, this is going to be his toughest opponent by a long shot. He's fought pretty much nobody good before this. I can't play him at minus 250. And I can't advise you to do that either. Mallot does have a decent takedown game and he has shown in his last few that he has a submission threat on the ground as well. But I wouldn't exactly say that he's elite down there. And he's fighting a guy this time that will be rangy and willing to play it dirty in the clinch for long periods. The advisable thing for Mallot would be to crash at Magny's legs, and that could lead to some success later on in the fight. Ian Gary found a lot of success taking that approach against Magny, but he seems to prefer boxing, and Magny is so experienced and game plans pretty well. He has a tendency to drag people into his horrible way of fighting. So I'm sorry to be a bore here, but because I do think that Mallot is going to win the fight. But Magny is good at building up clinch points, so I don't love that. I think this goes over 2.5, and I think Mallot is going to edge it by the narrowest of margins. But I feel more comfortable picking the over than an outright winner. I'd be very happy to be wrong, by the way. If Mallot starches him, it's pretty much great for the division. We need as many new contenders as possible, and Magny is getting nowhere near the top again. All right, so we're on to the co-main event. This fight is for the vacant bantamweight women's title, one of the worst divisions in the sport. And as underwhelming as this one is on paper, I'm just personally glad that Pena isn't getting a free crack at grabbing the title. So I'm going to take this. I actually think that Pennington is much better than people give her credit for. She offers a lot of volume and has proven she can keep a pace for 5 rounds. She's fought some of the best fighters in the division. She's fought legends. She's somebody who's been around for a long time. Now consider this. Bueno Silva has never gone 5 rounds and is getting a title fight off the back of beating Lena Landsberg, trash, Stephanie Egger, worse, and Yanan Wu. Who the fuck is that? Her one notable win against Holly Holm, which was she did strangle her to death in a really impressive standing gilly, but that one was overturned. Apparently she popped for Ritalin in her system, which is just bizarre. Now, if you bear all this in mind, does this sound like a minus 400 favorite to you? Maybe somebody can explain this to me. Now, Pennington is so dog tough and has far superior cardio. She's done 5 rounds so many times. And I can't pick anyone again that hasn't got that experience. And I'm probably going to get called out hard for this. I do think that Silva is going to win the first 2 rounds. Then I think the 3rd round is going to be a bit of a toss-up as she starts to gas a little bit. And then I think Pennington's going to take over and win the last 2 rounds. I say this goes over 2.5. And if I'm betting, I might even sweeten it further by saying it goes over 3.5. Pennington is on a 5-fight win streak. She has much better wins. And she even made it to the 5th round with Amanda Nunes. Silva has nothing on her CV to justify minus 400s. You need to be the clear and obvious superior fighter for odds like that. This is Pennington's last chance to be a champion, and I think she gives everything here to win. I don't think she does. I think it wouldn't surprise me if this goes to a split decision, but yeah, man. Too close for me. Take the over. All right, on to the main event. Damn, this has been a little bit of a long one, but it is, it's a pay-per-view card that has 12 fights, so deserves a bit of a breakdown. I have never had such a hard time picking the winner to a fight in all my life. I've literally been going back and forth on this one since it was announced. And honestly, if you ask me tomorrow, I would probably have a different answer to the one that I'm about to give you. I don't even know what answer I'm about to give you. So let me go over my thinking and see if I can convince myself one way or another. Now, Sean Strickland could be defensively the best stand-up fighter in the UFC. He certainly is in the division. Let's ignore the Alex fight. That was a moment of retardation in play there. He has unbelievable cardio over 5 rounds and will attempt to apply a forward pressure throughout. He sticks the jab in your face and doesn't really give you a chance to settle and to move. Now, Duplessis, on the other hand, is highly unorthodox and will have a big power advantage in there, especially in the grappling. It's well talked about that Strickland has a great takedown defense game in the gym, but because I haven't seen it live in the cage, I can't really bank on that. My biggest worry for Duplessis is the cardio still has a question mark, although I will say that while he does appear tired and breathing heavy, he still keeps going. He's had the nasal surgery, and he did go 5 rounds in KSW a few times, but never in the UFC. I feel that if Duplessis is going to win this, it needs to be within the first 3, and I'd favour Sean if this continues to go the distance. Fuck it, this is really hard. I'm going with Duplessis, and I'm doing it for one reason. I think he's pissed Strickland off, and that mental breakdown at the end of the year is not very encouraging to me. Now, it could end up working in his favour, and he comes in there focused, hungry, ready to go to war. But if that hadn't happened, I probably would have taken Strickland to win this fight in a 5-round close fight. But with another face-to-face potentially coming up, I think that Dricus is just going to wind him up again. I like both guys, and I feel like this is a win and loss either way for me. Dricus has not lost since 2018, and I think his unorthodox way of striking and his pressure is going to cause Sean problems. I have no confidence here because there are so many cases on either side, but right now I'm thinking Duplessis. I think he gets the job done. Maybe ask me again tomorrow, I might have a different opinion. That Whitaker starching is so fresh in my mind as well, and was such a bananas win that I just can't doubt the guy after that anymore. All right, so here is the overall roundup. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of these. Many of you will probably disagree with all of them. I'm playing overs a lot in this because honestly, I know there are enough people on here that know the record on this channel and will probably take my advice and place bets. And I have to go with what I think is the most likely to lead to success on your parlays. On Thursday, I dropped a video to my series on how Bellator and PFL can compete with the UFC. So look out for that one. It's not the best card in the world, this UFC 297, if I'm honest. But the stakes in the main event and the build-up for that will carry the anticipation through to the end. Last week's card was actually secretly more stacked. Have a great week. Click the notifications, and I promised everyone I would stick to a video every 2 days, and so far I've been doing that. So take it easy, have a great one, and look out for the next video. Peace.